Alright, so for today I'm going to be showing you one of my all-time favorite combo meals, or as I like to call it, the man meal. It's a high-end steak porterhouse. Very well. I got it from my local meat market, Max Bowers. And then of course, some nice all-American hot wings. So let's get started, shall we? Alright, so first off, I already chopped up the onions because I'm kind of a OCD perfectionist when it comes to that. I like it particularly chopped, and if I don't have it just the way I like it, it bothers me. So that usually takes me a long time to do. Anyways, next up I'm about to chop up the the mushrooms here. I like to have some fried mushrooms and some fried onions on top of and with my steak. Yummy. Things you'll need: vegetable oil. This is for the onions and the mushrooms so they don't insta-stick and burn unless you have a really nice pan, but I'm using this one, so this is completely optional, but I like to add a little bit of this. Good stuff. Of course, I love garlic. Garlic is the way to be. Of course, some seasoning salt, some regular salt, and some black pepper. Of course, this will be for flipping the steak. This will be for the mushrooms and onions. You'll want something like this because of the fact that when you got the onions and all that stuff going on all at once, it's gonna, liquefy. It's gonna have some liquid, so when you take it out, it can fall through the middle part here, or something of that sort. Either way, I'm sure you'll find something. Now, before I do that, I will be doing these because of the, preheating process. Takes longer than the cooking process. Alright, so what you're gonna do is use some of this or whatever your preference is. Make sure it doesn't stick. I always use a little bit more than you should, but that's just me. Better safe than sorry. Next, you want to preheat to 450. And that starts the process for the hot wings. Of course, naturally, you'll be, adding the chicken wings to your desired item with which you're going to cook it with. Some people can use, or do use rather, something like a pizza pan, and then they put aluminum foil, just put some aluminum foil on it, and they can do it that way. But for all intents and purposes, I will be doing it with this way. Okay. So, add in these nice sexy ass chicken wings. Nice and hot and spicy. But now we just gotta wait for the damn oven to heat up. Alright, next we'll be wanting to cut these mushrooms up. You can cut them up in any way, obviously, of your wanting, of desire, whatever. Usually 1 to 2 is just fine. Or alternatively, you don't even have to cut these up at all. It's completely your preference, but it will affect the cook time. Nonetheless, it's still completely up to you. Now, personally, I'm not one who likes to cook, so this helps me along the way. Anyways, you just cut them up to your desire, as I said before. I don't have any particular way when it comes to mushrooms, thankfully, so yay. Alright, so when you get these done, then you can finally add them to the onions. However, before I do that, I'm going to want to add the olive oil. Put a little on top. There, that should be more than enough. Considering the amount of onions, because that right there's 2 onions and lots of mushrooms, so you gotta remember that. Okay, now we just simply add the mushrooms. At this point, obviously, you'll probably want to mix it up a little bit. Okay. So now you got that prepared and ready. So, next will be the steak. Alright, now with a lot of the preparations out of the way and started up here, now we can work on the important part. Of course, the goddamn porterhouse. Hell yeah. Now, luckily enough at Max Bowers, the meat market here in Traverse City, luckily they put it in a plastic bag and wrap it up real nice. Now this is completely optional, but I like to do this personally as it, makes it better. All you have to do is get some distilled white vinegar. Pour some of that in. Get it real nice. Okay. This will make the meat that much softer and more tender. Very nice. Next up, next with that, you'll want to mix it in with this Montreal steak marinade. So typically you need oil, water, and vinegar. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I put a little bit of extra vinegar in there, but you can use wine, obviously, as it says right there, but I like to drink wine. Anyways, so now we'll want to put some water in here and some oil. Alrighty, looking sexy, looking sexy. Okay, so with that now out of the way, and put the vinegar and such back. Then at that point, you can either tie it or just do this, whatever your preference is, but either way, make sure that it's, put in very good, so it doesn't leak or anything of that sort. And now you just let it marinate. You let it, just stay like that. Now personally, what I do to make it more efficient is I just add this in there instead of waiting until afterwards. So I'm just showing both methods. So I'm going to do it my particular way. Add a little bit too much, but that's okay. Okay. Add in the marinade. Oh, does that smell good? I'll tell you what. Okay. Give her a nice little shake, get it mixed up. Get it all nice and tasty. Also, it's recommended that you put it in the fridge as well. So, what I do is I let it marinate. Now, if I'm doing this in advance, what I'll do is I'll do this the night before I actually make the meal. But for all intents and purposes for showing this demonstration of my man meal, I am doing it right now. So let's pretend that we did this last night type deals. So I'll let this marinate and make it, all nice, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, finally, the stove has preheated. So now you will want to take your chicken wings with the proper safety measures, I should say. Nonetheless, what's going on? It's video, so I gotta do it the proper way. So anyways, you take your chicken wings and you put it right there. Turn on that if you want. Now you wait 18 minutes. However, as an added tip, if you want, flip after 5 or so minutes, halfway through, whatever, just to get that overall thing going if you feel the need. And of course, if you're still doing this, at this point in time would be a good time to flip her on over. That way both sides are definitely getting marinated. Anyways, now we wait furthermore. Alrighty, now the fun part. Now, once you feel this has been marinated long enough or what have you, you'll probably want to start up on the mushrooms and onions. So we'll put that to about 3.5, depending on how fast you want it to cook and such. And then steak. Damn, does that look good? Use your hand, or you can use a fork, it doesn't matter. Oh, it's so tender. Huh. That marinade did its job. If I held on it to it any longer, it would have fell right apart. Not only is it high quality from Max Bowers, but the marinade did its job, I'll tell you. Okay, so you got this started. You pulled that, put it on the pan. It's all fine and dandy. Good, good, good. Furthermore, if you want it, I guess you could say aerodynamically tender, you can stab holes in it. I've seen a few people do this, and I think it's a pretty good idea, actually. As you can tell, it's very tender. I'm having no problem stabbing through it. Now, this is where I add the seasoning salt. Of course, each person uses their own personalized amount. Of course, I'm a garlic guy, as you can tell I use it quite often. Don't have very much left. So, put some garlic on there. Alrighty. And then, of course, what I do is when I'm cooking this, I'll put it to about 4.5 to 5, depending. And what I do is once it starts frying up, I will flip it over every 5 minutes until complete. So it gets an equal amount of cooking on each side, no matter how long it takes. I'm a medium guy to medium well. I can eat all variations. I can do well done to raw. Although I'm not too much of a fan of raw, but I can still do it. So yeah, that is what we do from this point. Now I want to cook this a little bit fast, so I'm going to set that at 4. This is at 5, and now we just wait for it to start cooking. Of course, during this time as well, you'll also want to keep checking on how the hot wings are doing, which they're looking pretty good, so that's good. As you can tell, this is doing its startup, so that's good. Also, another thing you can do is you can pour a little bit of this into here. Does no harm, so can't go wrong with that. And in here if you wish. Okay, it's starting to cook, so that's good. That's what I like. Good food, good food. Can't go wrong with that. Make sure that nothing's burning or sticking, and then settle it. And there you go. And of course, at this point you can flip it and do the same procedure as last time. Garlic and seasoning salt. And should you decide to do so, some good old sauce. Okay, put some salt on here. Yummy. And then of course I personally like pepper, so I like a little pepper added in. Now you wait 5 minutes. 5 minutes, or depending on your setting, you can check it every couple minutes, however you are concerning that. And 5 minutes definitely for that. And you do so until finished and until finished. Now when it comes to the onions, what you're aiming for is for the onions to be see-through-ish, clear-ish, you know. That's when you know it's all sorts of good. And by that time usually the mushrooms are all well as also. When it comes to the actual steak, that all you have to do is when you think it's about done but you're not really sure, best way to check is by putting your fork in, taking a little cut, and then looking in. If you see pink, it's not done. And that's how you know that your steak's done. Or depending on how you want it, your preference. If you see a little bit of pink and that's the thing, cool. If you want it well done, there's no pink, etc., etc. Or if you just don't want to see blood red, that's cool too. You can always check it the same method. So you just keep doing that until, and you keep stirring this every now and then as well, until it is done. Alright. Now that the chicken wings are done, or should be, of course, now we're going to pull them out. Of course, want to turn this off. Oh yeah, looking sexy. Very nice, very nice. Turn that off. Now personally what I do is I leave the stove door open. It lets out all the heat instead of just keeping it in there. It's a good way to warm up your house if it's cold. or if you just don't want the heat storage in there type deal. I learned this from a young age. It was like a security thing, safety measure back when microwaves weren't, or not microwaves, but stoves weren't so great, I guess, or whatever. But nonetheless, that's what I do. But yummy. So now the chicken wings are done. So now we're just waiting on the onions, mushrooms, and steak. All right. Okay. A little bit of crisp, but that's from the seasoning salt, mind you. But nonetheless, it's still good to have a little bit of crisp. It adds a little bit of flavor, you know. It's all good. Alright, we'll check it out. Very nice and tender still. Oh yeah, she's done. Very nice, very nice. Okay. Now, we'll transfer over the steak to the plate. Alright. Very nice, very nice. And of course turn the stove, that particular burner off. Put this to a safe location. Alright, now, presumably, the onions should be done at this point. Or at least most of them. It's not like it's life or death if you don't fully cook every single onion. But to me, they look pretty damn done. Well enough for me, that is. As you can tell, also, through the process of cooking, these damn things shrink. As before, it was literally all the way up to here. But now, it's not. So, turn this burner off as well. Now you have the option to either keep this in its own thing, or what I like to do, put them on here, on there, put a little bit on the side, and then save the rest for later if need be. This will keep it warm for a little bit longer until the heat actually fully goes away, should you wish to do that. Okay, so we'll keep that there. So now, you know how I make and what is my favorite man meal, and so on and so forth. So, now I just put that there, stab that in there, and if you need this for anything, for the onions, what have you, you have it. And then of course, you have your hot wings. And so, there you have it, folks. Enjoy. Because I certainly will be.